Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. So I am Samama Naimaan and I am with Samama Norhana and Sulaiman Mohaimin. And we will be discussed to you the chapter 15, which is the types, characteristic, and identification of learners with difficulty with self-care. So in this chapter, focuses on learners having difficulty with self-care, especially those with intellectual disability. Although learners with difficulty with self-care may also include those with autism, the same topic has already been discussed in section 3. So, and thus will not be discussed here anymore. So, in this chapter, we provide a brief history of intellectual disability as well as how its terminology and definition has changed over time. So, we also give an overview of its prevalence in the Philippines, its common etiology, causes, and other conditions associated with it. So, we present the range of intellectual disability and also instruments that are commonly used in its assessment as well as flowchart that can be used as guide in determining learners with intellectual disability. Okay, so this chapter is pag-uusapan natin ang mga batang may problema sa pag-aalaga sa sarili, lalo na yung may intellectual disability o kapansanan sa pag-iisip. So, sa chapter na ito is malalaman natin kung ano nga ba ang intellectual disability, paano nagbabago ang tawag at kahulugan ng intellectual disability noon at hanggang ngayon, at gaano karami ang mga batang may ganitong problema sa pag-iisip sa ating bansa, at bakit nagkakaroon ng intellectual disability at ano ang iba pang karaniwang problema na kasama ito. Okay, so may iba't ibang uri ang intellectual disability. Merong magaan, katamtaman, malala at sobrang hirap. So, ano nga ba ang mga ginagamit na paraan o kagamitan para malaman kung may ganitong problema ang mga bata? So, the purpose of this chapter is para matulungan yung mga guro, magulang na maintindihan ang problema at makahanap ng tamang solusyon para sa mga bata. So, before that, I will be discuss to you the definition of intellectual disability in the next topic. So now, let's proceed to the history of intellectual disability, which is the table 15.1 milestone in the history of intellectual disability. So, the following timeline present the milestone in the history of intellectual disability. So, in 1900s, accepted clinical term for intellectual disability include imbecility, feeble, mindedness, and mental deficiency. So, segregation and isolation are the norm. The popular belief in that intellectual disability is synonymous with poverty, sloth, crime, and sexual profligacy. So, in 1900s, ang tawag sa may intellectual disability noon ay imbecile, simple-minded, at mental deficiency. So, paniniwala ng mga tao, akala ng marami, ang intellectual disability ay dahil sa kahirapan, dahil sa katamaran, o pagiging walang kontrol sa sarili, at worse, pagiging kriminal. So, in 1900s is karaniwang inihiwalay ang mga taong may intellectual disability sa lipunan dahil nga sa iniisip nila na ito ay makakasira sa lipunan at delikado sa mga tao. So, in 1904, unang ang aklat tungkol sa intellectual disability. So, in 1904, first textbook about intellectual disability, Martin Barr published Mental Defectives, the first text that suggests that hereditary factor play an important role in intellectual disability. So, Si Martin Barr ang sumulat ng Mental Defectives, ang unang aklat na nagsabing ang intellectual disability ay maaaring namamana o namamana din sa dugo ng pamilya. Okay, so in 1907 naman is Involuntary Sterilization Law. So Indiana becomes the first state to pass a sterilization law for people with intellectual disability held in state institution. So in 1907, sa Indiana ginawa ang unang law na nag-aatas ng sterilization o pagpigil sa kakayahang magkaanak ng mga taong may intellectual disability na nasa mga institusyon ng Estado. So, in 1907 is gumawa sila ng law which is, it stated that bawal manganak ng taong may intellectual disability. In 1912, rise of eugenics. Through the Kalikak family and other pseudoscientific case histories on the heritability of intellectual disability, eugenicists aim to isolate people with disability from the community and establish forced sterilizations law. So, in 1912, gumamit ng maling pag-aaral tulad ng The Kalikak family para ipakita na namamana ang intellectual disability. So, layunin nitong ihiwalay ang mga may kapansanan mula sa lipunan at gawing sapilitan ang sterilization. So, when we say sterilization is parang, if I'm not mistaken parang kinukulong sila or yung may mga intellectual disability at pinipilit silang wag dumami ba. So, yun nga. So, in 1920, the institution system expand. Nationwide institution for people with intellectual disability rapidly reach capacity. So, in 1920, ang bilang ng mga institusyon na dinisenyo para alagaan ang mga taong may kapansanan sa intellectual disability ay tumaas ng mas malaki. Kumbaga, nag-expand yung dami ng may intellectual disability. So, ito ay humantong sa pagsisikip at malamang na mababang kalidad ng pangangalaga sa maraming pasilidad. Ang dami ng mga taong nangangailangan ng pangangalaga ay nagpapakita ng kakulangan ng mga suporta sa komunidad at integrasyon noong panahong iyon. So, in 1933 naman is the American Association for the Study of Feeble-Minded changes its name to the American Association of Mental Deficiency. So, in 1933 is ang pinalitan ng American Association for the Study of Feeble-Minded tungo sa American Association of Mental Deficiency ay nagpapakita ng pagbabago sa terminolohiya. In 1935, the rise of state-sanctioned sterilization efforts reached their peak during the Great Depression. By 1937, a reported 27,869 people with intellectual disability have been forcibly sterilized. So, in 1930 up to 1950, institution overcrowing. Number of people with intellectual disability is state-funded institution grow from around 60,000 in 1930 to nearby 140,000 in 1950. So, in 1930 is sinabi dito na nasa 60,000 ang may intellectual disability year 1930. So, parang mas tumaas or nag-expand ng 140,000 in 1950 naman ang may intellectual disability. So, in 1946, slaves or parents. An article detailed the poor condition inside Maryland Rosewood State Training School in published The Catholic Worker. So, in 1946 is Isang article ang na-publish na nagpapakita ng masamang kalagayan ng mga tao na nasa Rosewood State Training School sa Maryland. So in 1950 is nationwide parents movement begins to offer help and support to parents across the country. Representative from 23 parents group from National Association of Parents and Friends of Mentally Retarded Children, now as the ARC of the United States. So in 1950 and 1953 is Parents in the Spotlight Speaks Out. Author Pearl S. Buck, the Child Who Never Grew, and actress Dale Evans Roger Angel Unaware write candid stories about their daughters who were born with disabilities. So their stories quickly become touchstone for advocates of people with intellectual disability. So simula nung isulat or simula nung ipakita ng nina Pearl S. Buck at Dale Evans Roger ang kwento nila about sa kanilang anak na may intellectual disability ay mas lalong dumami ang supporters at mas lalong nagkaroon ng knowledge about the intellectual disability. So, in 1953 naman is landmark law. So, President Dwight Eisenhower passes FL 85926, the first federal legislation established the Provide Fund for University Training Program in the field of special education. In 1958, naipasa ang batas na PL 85926 na nagbigay ng pondo o fund mula sa government para sa pagsasanay sa special education sa mga universities. So, in 1959, the American Association of Mental Deficiency 1959 manual uses the term mental retarded in place of mentality deficient. So in 1960, President Panel on Mental Retardation established. President John F. Kennedy launches a panel to move the U.S. away from institutionalization and towards community-based support system. So, in 1967 naman is institution census peaks with 194,650 people with intellectual disability living in state-run institution. So, in 1967 is umabot sa 194,650 ang bilang ng mga taong may intellectual disability. In 1968, the first National Special Olympic Games are held in Chicago with athletes from 35 states and Canada. So, in 1968 is naganap sa Chicago ang unang Special Olympics Games. In 1971, landmark court case Pennsylvania Associated for Retarded Children versus Commonwealth of Pennsylvania support the right of all children with intellectual disability to a public education. So, it affirms the right of children with intellectual disability to attend public schools. So, in 1972 naman is Willbrook exposed journalist Geraldo Rivera airs a series of investigative reports about the horrific condition at Long Island Willowbrook State School. So, the story sparked outrage and action. So, in 1972, dahil sa balita ni Geraldo Rivera tungkol sa masamang kalagayan sa Willowbrook State School ay naging dahilan ng galit sa publiko. So, maraming nagalit na mga tao nang makita nila yung balita ni Geraldo Rivera tungkol sa masamang kalagayan ng Willowbrook State School. So in 1975 is separate is never equal. So President Gerald Ford signed into law the Education for All Handicapped Children Act of PL 94142, now IDEA or IDEA, compelling schools to provide full educational opportunities to all children with disability. So in 1975 is pinirmahan na ni Pangulong Gerald Ford ang Education for All Handicapped Children Act PL 94142 na ngayon ay ang IDEA. So in this law stated that all school is mandated to provide equal educational opportunities for all children with disabilities, especially those children with intellectual disabilities. So in 1979, community inclusion. So the Center of Human Policy of Syracuse University issues the community imperative, a declaration affirming the right of all people with disabilities to live in and be part of a community. So in 1981 is Bill Open Eyes, a TV movie about Bill Sachter, a man with intellectual disability who ran a popular coffee shop at the University of Lua, advances the idea that people with intellectual disability can be productive, valid member of a community. So in 1981, there are TV movie tungkol kay Bill Sachter, isang taong may intellectual disability na nagpatakbo ng matagumpay or successful shop na coffee shop ang nagbigay inspirasyon sa marami. So in 1987, Willowbrook closes its doors. So as I've said, in 1972 is, 'di ba, nabalita ni journalist Geraldo Rivera ang about sa Willowbrooks, kung paano nila ibaba or ibuli ang mga may intellectual disability. So here in 1987 is 1987 is tuluyan nang isinara ang Willowbrook State School. So in 1990, the Americans with Disability Act is passed, protecting the civil rights of all people with disabilities. In 1991, self-advocacy SEERS. So, self-advocacy becoming empowered, or SABE, a national umbrella organization for self-advocacy. So, in 1996, I will be summarizing, guys. So, in 1996, SABE expanded its reach, establishing chapter in 1937 states. In 2000, a major medical breakthrough occurred with Sandra Jensen, a woman with Down syndrome. So, si Sandra Jensen is meron siyang Down syndrome. She became the first person with intellectual disability to receive an organ transplant. This challenged discriminatory practices in healthcare and paved the way for equal access to medical care for all. So in 2004, the number of people living in institutions significantly decreased, showcasing the shift towards community-based support. The Reauthorization of the Individual with Disability Education Act, or IDEA, further prevailed inclusive education, requiring all students with disability to participate in general classroom. In 2010, the 35th anniversary of IDEA was celebrated, recognizing its impact on the lives of millions of children with disability. President Obama emphasized its significance as a landmark civil rights act. In 2013, the term mental retardation was officially replaced with intellectual disability. in all federal legislation. This change reflects a more respectful and accurate understanding of condition. Okay, so let's move on into definition of intellectual disability. So over the years, various terms and definition of intellectual disability have been proposed. During the early time, the term idiots, from a Greek word meaning people who did not hold public office, have been used for those with severe cognitive deficiencies. In the 19th century, the term imbecile, from the Latin word for weak and feeble, was given as a label for a less severe degree of intellectual disability. So, for mild intellectual disability, the term feeble-minded and simpleton were used. So these terms were then used by professionals in medicine, psychology, and education to refer to intellectual disability. Although nowadays these labels are seen as inappropriate and stigmatized. People with intellectual disabilities have limitation in their ability to learn, think, and make decisions. This level of disability varies. So, people with intellectual disability has a limitation to learn, to think, and to make decision. Hindi siya tulad na normal person na they are they are unlimited. If they want to learn something, they can learn it unlimited or walang limit. Unlike sa intellectual disability is they have a limit to learn, to think, and to make decision. There are three main definition by IDEA, AAIDD, and the APA. So, in IDEA, or the Individual with Disability Education Act, says that intellectual disability means having way below average intellectual functioning, IQ 70 or lower. So, gisummarize ko lang to siya, guys, ha. So, the idea says that the intellectual disability have a 70 IQ or lower pa, mas mababa pa sa 70. So, trouble with daily life skill. So, they can easily make a trouble in daily life, in their daily life, and these issues started during childhood. So, according naman sa AAIDD, or American Association on Intellectual and Developmental Disability, it says that intellectual disability means having big challenges in both intellectual skills like reasoning and adaptive skills like living independently. And this started before age 18. So, actually, parang pareho lang tong idea in AAIDD, because the idea is focuses on how ID affects learning in school, while the AAIDD focuses on overall functioning and support needs. So, according naman sa APA, or American Psychiatric Association, it says that intellectual disability is when someone struggles with mental abilities like problem solving, and these struggles make it hard to handle life tasks like socializing or communication. So, let's proceed to prevalence of intellectual disability in the Philippines. So, in the school year 2012 to 2013, there are 12,210 students with intellectual disabilities were enrolled in a special education program in government school in the Philippines. However, this number is an underestimate because it only counts those who are actually in special education. Many more individuals with intellectual disabilities exist but aren't enrolled in these programs. So, in year 2012 and 2013, there are 12,210 students with intellectual disability, but ito lang yung mga naka-enroll sa SPED or sa special education. So, the etiology or causes of intellectual disability. So, there are many possible reasons someone may have an intellectual disability. So, this can be grouped into two main types, which is the genetic or biological causes and the environmental causes. So, in genetic or biological causes, these are issues that happen because of genetic or biological problems. So, sometimes this can be prevented, but not always. Example of this is Down syndrome, Prader-Willi syndrome, Fragile X syndrome. So, in genetic or biological causes is ito yung mga kumbaga ang causes nito is galing lang din daw sa kumbaga namamana lang, sa dugo lang siya ng isang pamilya. So, nasa lahi kumbaga. While sa environmental causes, things outside the body is, ang example nito is tokens like lead-based paint or drugs, birth trauma, problems during delivery, infection like meningitis. Some causes can be prevented, like avoiding harmful substance during pregnancy. So, ang intellectual disability or ID ay hindi isang sakit, kundi isang kondisyon na nauugnay sa mabagal na pag-unlad ng mental at adaptive skills ng isang tao. Okay, so that will be all. The next topic will be discussed by Samama Norhanaan.
My name is Norhana Tisamama, and I am the second reporter. And also, my assigned topic is all about the tables. Table 15.2, table 15.3, table 15.4, and table 15.5. And let's proceed to the table 15.2, the etiological risk factor for intellectual disabilities. So, in etiological risk factor for intellectual disabilities is meron siyang teaming, biomedical, social, behavioral, and the education. Proceed to the etiological risk factor for intellectual disabilities. So, they have the prenatal, perinatal, and the postnatal. So, okay, let's proceed to the prenatal. Yung prenatal is ito yung parang pinaglilihi pa lang yung baby. Then, yung biomedical ng prenatal is yung chromosal disorder. Mga problema sa genes o syndrome tulad ng mga Down syndrome na nagdudulot ng abnormal na development ng bata. And also sa malnutrition ng ina. Kapag hindi sapat ang nutrition ng ina habang buntis, naapektuhan ang paglaki ng utak at katawan ng sanggol. And also sa exposure to toxic agent kapag ang buntis ay nalantad sa mga chemical, raditional o gamot na mga delikado, maaaring maapektuhan ang development ng bata. Then also sa social is yung sa poverty, kapag ang mahirap ang pamilya, maaaring hindi makuha ng buntis ang tamang pagkain, prenatal care at iba pang pangangailangan. And also sa lack of access to prenatal care kapag hindi napapatingin ang ina sa doktor habang buntis, hindi nakikita ang mga possible problem na pwedeng maagapan ng maaga. Then sa behavioral, yung sa substance abuse, kapag gumamit ng droga, alak, at pag naninigarilyo ang ina habang buntis, maaring itong magdulot ng pinsala sa utak ng katawan ng bata. Then also yung sa smoking. Ang paninigarilyo ay nagdudulot ng kakulangan ng oxygen sa fetus na maaring magresulta sa mabagal na development ng bata. Then yun sa educational, yan na yung sa lack of information na on pregnancy care. Kung ang ina ay hindi alam ang tamang pag-aalaga sa sarili habang buntis, mataas na tsansa na magiging posibilidad na yung komplikasyon o problema sa sanggol. Magkaroon ng komplikasyon sa sanggol. That's the prenatal. Ito perinatal. So in perinatal is ito yung pinagbubuntis na siya ng kanyang mother. So let's proceed to the biomedical. Ang problem dito is tulad ng maagang panganganak or mababang timbang o kakulangan ng oxygen ng sanggol. Then sa social niya is malnutrition ng nanay o pagpapabaya sa bata. Then yung sa behavioral niya is kawalan ng prenatal care o paggamit ng bawal na gamot while pinagbubuntis niya yung bata. Then sa education is walang access sa maagang gamutan o pag-aalaga. So that's the perinatal. Okay, let's proceed to the postnatal. So, ano nga ba yung postnatal? Ang tinatawag na postnatal is ito yung pagkatapos ipanganak na yung bata. Then, sa biomedical niya is ito yung mga physical na injury sa utak ng bata na pwedeng magdulot ng permanenteng pinsala. Then, pagkulang ng nutrisyon ng bata na naapektuhan ang kanyang development ng kanyang utak at kanyang katawan. Then, sa social is child abuse or neglect. Kapag inaabuso o pinapabayaan ang bata. Then kung walang sapat na suporta mula sa pamilya, so nahihirapan ang bata na sa kanyang development. Then yung sa behavioral naman is mga maling paraan ng pagpapalaki na hindi nakakatulong sa emotional at mental growth ng bata. Then kapag may membro ng pamilya na lulong sa droga o alak, naapektuhan ang kanyang environment sa environment ito. Then sa educational naman is pag hindi nagbibigyan ng special na support o program para sa mga bata na may special needs, and pag hindi maganda ang kalidad ng education o walang tamang guidance, maapektuhan ang ganyang pagkakatuto ng bata.
Let's proceed to the table 15.3. Prenatal condition associated with intellectual disabilities. So here is meron siyang syndrome, definition and cause and remarks and characteristic. So let's proceed to the Down syndrome. So, sa definition and cause niya is yung sa due to chromosomal abnormality having 3 of the 21. So, dito is may dagdag na chromosomes trisomy 21. Sa remarks and characteristic niya is ito yung nagdudulot ng pagkala na intellectual, physical na katangian at mga issue sa kalusugan. So next is the fetal alcohol spectrum disorder or the FASD. So dito is yung sa definition and cause niya is ito yung nagdudulot ng pag-inom ng ina ng alak habang buntis ito. Then also the remarks and characteristic niya is yung nagdudulot ng pala na intellectual problem sa ugali at physical na issue sa bata. Fragile X syndrome. So here is the definition and cause niya is ito yung problem sa X syndrome na nagdudulot ng pagkaantala ng intellectual. Madalas sa mga lalaki ito. Then the remarks and characteristic is ito yung ang mga babae ay karaniwang career lamang, hindi ganong naapektuhan yung mga babae dito. And the last one is the Williams syndrome. The definition and cause niya is ito yung pagkawala ng ilang genes sa syndrome 7. And the remarks and characteristic is ito yung may kakaibang ugali tulad ng pagiging palakaibigan, ngunit kulang sa social understanding, and madalas magaling sa musika at pag-aalala ng mga detalye. Maaaring may problem siya sa puso o ibang physical na kondisyon. Okay, so let's proceed to the table 15.4, range of intellectual disability. So meron siyang range of intellectual disability or the ID. Meron siyang percentage of ID population and also the expectations. So let's proceed to the MELD ID range 50 over 55 to 70. Then the population niya is yung 85%. Then sa expectation niya is ito yung mukhang normal ang bata, ngunit may mabagal na pagkatuto kumpara sa kaedad. Nagkakaroon ng limitasyon sa mga academic skills tulad ng mga pagbabasa at pagsulat, pero maaring matutunan. Kaya nilang makihalok sa simpleng trabaho o gawain na may konting tulong. So next is the moderate IQ range, 35 over 40 to 50 over 55. Then the population is the 10%. The expectation is ito yung may malinaw na pagkaantala sa akademikong kakayanan tulad ng pagbabasa, pagsusulat at matematika. Mas sanay sila sa practical na gawain kaysa sa akademiko. Maaari silang makihalok sa mga workshop o vocational training na may malinaw na instruktura. Okay, the next one is the severe IQ 20 over 25 to 35 over 40. Then the percentage of ID population niya is 3 to 4%. May mga problema medical motor, ito yung sa paggalaw o neurological. Ito yung sa utak at nervous system. They have limited communication, for instance for simple words or yung sa kilos nila is limitado lang. Kailangan they need a lot of support para sa kanilang pang-araw-araw. And the last one is the profound IQ below 20 over 25. Then sa percentage niya is the 1 to 2%. Sa expectation niya is malubha ang pagkaantala sa utak, motor skills at iba pang physical na kakayahan. Hindi kaya makipag-ugnayan ng maayos, kailangan ng tulong sa lahat ng aspekto ng buhay. And also madalas kailangan ng matinding medical na suporta at espesyal na pangangalaga. So that's all. Thank you.
Good day, Mom. So I am the last reporter for the group 15. So my assigned topic that I will gonna discuss is about the characteristic of learners with intellectual disability. So since Ms. Samaman ay already defined the intellectual disability, now let's just proceed to the characteristics. So here we have the 4 characteristics. First is the cognitive functioning. The second one is the adaptive behavior. Number 3, behavioral excesses in challenging behavior. And number 4 is the positive attributes. So now let us discuss the first characteristic, which is the cognitive functioning. So meron siyang 5 parts sa cognitive functioning. So isa-isahin natin yan. So by the way, didiretso na tayo mag-explain. So nasend naman din yung topic sa GC, so pwede gawin yun as a guide. Okay, first, the learning rate. Okay, dito sa learning rate, dito, these learners acquire new information much slower than their developing peers. For example, so, while a typical students is madali niya nakukuha yung concept ng math, or for instance, the math subject, madali niya nakukuha is after isang explanation. Dito sa mga mayroon learning disability, intellectual disability, is kailangan pa sa kanila i-repeat kasi hindi nila naiintindihan. Hindi ka pwede mag-proceed hanggat hindi nila naiintindihan. Yun yung intellectual disability. Yun yung sinasabi dito sa learning rate. Number 2 is the memory. So sa memory, the open struggle with remembering information. Kumbaga, especially your working memory. When I say working memory, this is the remembering one thing while doing another. Yun yung sinasabi ko. Example, mayroong student na nag-struggle na ma-remember yung mga instructions sa task. So, they are actually, they are actually performing the task. Yun na nga, mayroon lang silang struggle na ma-remember kung ano yung mga rule, ano yung mga ganito, ganyan. They also, mayroon din silang also difficult recalling information from even a short time. So, meron silang short-term memory. You're familiar with that? Short-term memory. Like, may nahirapan nilang i-recall kung ano man yung mga natutunan nila. Okay, number 3, attention. So, dito sa attention, they tend to focus on relevant learning details more slowly and have difficulty in maintaining the attention. Example, student may struggle to stay focused during a long lesson, so frequently getting distracted. So, ang mga learning with disability, intellectual disability, is madali silang ma-distract. So, kailangan, you have to discuss them and direct to the point. And also, dapat yung topic mo is engaging. Kasi kung puro ka lang discuss, na hindi mo inaano na meron kang student na mayroong intellectual disability, is madali lang silang ma-distract. Okay, number 4. So, sa number 4, very understandable ito, generalization and maintenance. So, they find it hard to apply newly learned skills or knowledge to new situation. Halimbawa, okay, for example, mayroong student na natututo sa classroom ng mathematics, like, alam nila mag number 1 to 10, alam nila paano mag-add or mag-minus. But then, kapag nakalabas sila ng outside of the school, kumbaga nasa grocery sila, na meron silang hard time, meron silang, nahihirapan sila mag-calculate, mag-minus. Kasi yun na nga yung sinasabi dito sa generalization and maintenance. Hindi nila ma-apply sa real-world situation or real-world problems yung mga natutunan nila. Isa yung sa mga problem ng mayroong intellectual disability. Number 5. Motivation. So, dito sa motivation, some lack interest in learning or problem solving, sometimes developing learned helplessness. When I say learned helplessness, ito yung believing na they will always fail. So, dito sa motivation is, they are not motivated na. Intellectual disability. Like sabi nila, hindi na nila yung gagawin kasi ginagawa naman nila yung dati pero nag-feel pa din sila. Pinangungunahan nila, instead of the trying to try, is pinangungunahan nila na ganito, ganyan. Yun yung characteristic. Isa sa characteristic na the cognitive functioning. Number 2 characteristic is the adaptive behavior. So dito, this section is nakafocus siya sa daily living and social skills na isang individual na mayroong intellectual disability. It highlights the difficulties in self-care, daily living skills, and social relationship can significantly impact their quality of life. So, mayroon siyang dalawang part, which is the self-care and daily living skills, and also number 2, the social relationship. So, number 1 muna tayo. The self-care and daily living skills. So, dito, naka-refer ito sa mga individual na mayroong learning intellectual disability. Like, they cannot necessarily living for being an independent. Yun. Like, yung mga personal hygiene nila, kung pababayaan mo sila, pababayaan din nila yan. That's why meron dapat siyang guide. Kasi kung hayaan mong mga merong intellectual disability, nahihirapan yan sila. Like yung pagbubutones ng mga uniform, kung hayaan mo sila, balik-balik na dyan, or hindi nila yan ibubutan kasi hindi nila alam. Like ganun. Ganun yung problema ng intellectual disability. Number 2, the social relationship. So, it is very understandable. This is about the communicating with each other. Minsan, nahihirapan sila i-adapt or nahihirapan sila makipag-communicate sa mga tao. Okay. So, number 3. Number 3 is the behavioral excesses and challenging behavior. So students with intellectual disability are more likely to exhibit behavior problems than those without. For instance, they may have the difficulty accepting the criticism. Okay, it is very understandable. Okay, dito sa behavioral excesses and challenging behavior is students with intellectual disabilities are more prone to behavioral problems than their neurotypical peers. Okay, so this can include the difficulties of accepting criticism. Like, hindi nila matanggap na kinikriticize nila. Nahihirapan silang i-accept. Like, pag sabihin mo silang bobo, like ganon, is like, nahihirapan sila. Hindi sila tumatanggap ng criticize. Limited self-control. Yes, madali sila ma-distract. That's what I've studied in the first discussion. Also, the inappropriate behaviors like aggression or self-injury. Okay, last one. Okay, last one is the positive attributes. So, individuals with intellectual disabilities may display tenacity and curiosity in learning, to have a good relationship with others, and positively influence other individuals around them. So, this is very understandable naman din from the title itself na lang din na positive attributes. So, positive attributes, this is the beginning. Individuals with intellectual disabilities can display positive traits such as tenacity and curiosity in learning. They can also maintain the good relationship with others and positively influence those around them. Thank you so much, and I am again, bye.